Good evening and welcome to Voices Cary. My name is Randy Scott. We are broadcasting from the beautiful village of Cary, Illinois. This is your megaphone and this is your microphone. Let me turn up the volume here. This is a independent venture from me to try to bridge the gap between social media and talking with your neighbor. Um, uh, Far too often we see just uh, a disconnect from how polarizing social media can be. And I have this thing in me to where if I see something and I want to do something to help. So here I am speaking with you in a warehouse at 9 o'clock on Wednesday. But I wouldn't want to be anywhere else other than right here with you. I try to bring you, today we're going to look at, well, first, I want to let you know that we have uh, an audio. Here we go. Wh- We have, I wanted to make it more consistent because when I started this many months, um, almost last year, well, it was last year, but almost a year now, um, I wanted, it's hard because I have a family and having a set schedule, we're all busy. But we all like to feel like we're part of a community and be involved in that community. And one thing as April closes in, I want to, and even after that, I want to bring something to you on a consistent basis here at 9 o'clock. So here I am. The phone line is available in the description. Rumble doesn't pull it in. We broadcast live onto Rumble X, YouTube, Twitch, and we have on every podcast feed. And the message is talk with your neighbor. That is the boiled down first principle of why this show exists. And when I say that this is your setup here, I'm not giving you lip service. I actually mean that. So today, there's a lot of talk about the village of Cary. This show is positioned to the residents in Cary, Illinois. If you're watching and you don't live in Cary, Illinois, see what we're doing here and start it for yourself in your own town. We can all, I think we can all do good by getting back to waving to each other in the car and being a village. Even if you're a city, you can be a village. Um, but they recently had, the village of Cary recently had a discussion regarding fiscal year 2026 and through fiscal year 2030 capital improvement program, which they refer to as CIP. And what we're gonna take a look at that meeting. And the reason why I like to watch meetings, usually we do a live watch party of village board meetings, and it's not to play you know, like a gotcha game or like they said a word wrong and that this was messed up. That's not it. The main goal is to bring this to another platform to uh, get you involved to where you're feeling like you have um, your you have a say in your community, which is something that we all want to have uh, done. It's because we raise our families here, our kids move back, and we want to make sure we turn over a quality product to our children. So we'll be looking at that video and that meeting, and the phone number that's available. You can feel free to call in or text anytime. And then the chats, I get the chats. They compile onto a multi-chat. I can't respond to you directly, but if you want to just say something during that, feel free to call, text, chat, and we'll stop and we'll talk about it. And a little bit about me. I had no idea I was going to try to get into politics. Like I said, I just have that thing in me to where if you see something that needs to be course corrected, you want to get in there and do it. Um, and I have the fire service to thank for that. My parents, first and foremost, my family. So that's what I'm doing here. And I hope you can. I hope you guys uh, you guys can see that. We have some other supporting documents to go along with that. We can take a look at the um, the rundown for the capital improvement program. I try not to just show it. That's why I like this format to where we're gonna be watching it, and if you have like you want to sound off on something, or if you agree with something, um, call in, text in, and as we do this more consistently, I hope the dialogue gets better and broader. The capital improvement program (CIP) is planning tool used to provide a multi-year vision of the village's future capital needs. Capital projects are typically the largest expenditure in an annual budget, which makes a CIP a critical tool for the village's budget discussions. By outlining future costs for capital projects, the village is able to plan for funding and project phasing. The capital improvement program includes fiscal year 25-26 projected projects, along with projects anticipated to occur over the next 5 years through 2030. Each future project includes a cost estimate that is subject to change over time. This CIP provides the village board, village staff, and the residents with a plan for necessary future improvements and identifies areas where financing is needed to fund improvements. And as we watch the video, if there is anything that I can like value, like I enjoy empowering people. I don't really. I analyzed their last budget, and there was like a lot of jargon in there, which turns people off, including me, because you kind of glaze over it after a while. So that's why I enjoy, like, if I see something and I hear something and I can provide context, I'll do that. And if there's something that I don't understand, I'll get it and have it for you the next show. Staff analysis. Village staff has identified critical projects to ensure the village's infrastructure is properly maintained. Many of these projects have previously been discussed with the village board. The projects listed within the CIP are from the following areas: road infrastructure, facility improvements, water and sanitation, commuter parking, Cary Lake at Rotary Park, which is a park which is owned by the Village of Cary and not the Park District. Central Cary Tax Increment Financing Districts, TIF, number 3 specifically. There's currently only one, I believe, but there's been a plethora. Additional capital projects. The Village of Cary first reviewed the comprehensive CIP in February 2017. The CIP will continue to be a part of the annual budget process, and feedback will be important to ensure the CIP is kept current each year. No final decisions will be made at this meeting that we're about to watch. However, feedback is desired on the fiscal year 25-26. And there was a survey that went out about this budget, and when I breezed through the presentation that we're about to watch, I haven't watched it in full yet, but I did not hear if they reviewed that or if they uncovered the results from that. It seemed like from the last few talks that there was a pretty good sample size. So I'm curious to see how that turned out. And if you do have any comments that you want to sound off on about your vision for Cary, or how you feel about certain projects, whether you're in favor or you disagree, or in the middle, I'd love to have your input on those. And that also makes for a better program when it's just not me talking. That's pretty much the entire meeting. So we'll take a look at that. And then I also have, and I can't stress enough, like when I pull out these, I pulled the operating budget from 23 through 24, and I want to make it clear of my intentions of like doing this on camera, is because it really has nothing to do. I really don't enjoy pointing fingers. I really enjoy, what can we do about it? how can we turn over the logs and see what crawls out, and how can we make this thing more efficient while increasing services, rather than just look at this, that's not right, and then go on to the next thing. That gets us nowhere. So if you have any context um, that you want to add, I want to hear from you. This these were the 2 pages that tickled my fancy from the budget. It's revenues and expenses, and I enjoy just boiling it down to um, first principles, like what's actually going on. And this was 23, or this is 16 through 23. And if you look, I mean, we'll just start at the total here. 8,314,000 came in. 8,162,000 went out in 2016. And then 2017, I'm just going to pull from these two for example right now. 8,271,000 came in. 8,180,000 went out. So we are pretty dang lucky that we are pulling in as much as it seems like it takes to operate. Because any less, this means to me that there's services not happening. And there's a few things that we can take a look at, which we will be taking a look at, that could improve a lot of things. And that's actually just done by being present and treating it like it's your own money. Like understanding where it came from, understanding how hard folks have worked to get it, because it is a different dynamic. When you're a municipal corporation and you just get money coming in, you kind of lose sight of like, well, that's that's somebody on work release working. That's that went out and bought something. That's somebody that is living off of Social Security. That took out a loan for property taxes. And I don't laugh at that. I laugh at the fact that that's even a thing that we have to do. So part of this needs to just be gone over with caring eyes, and I don't say that means that they don't care initially, but it needs some new set of eyes to take a look at it, because even if you go 2018, 8,181,000, 8,218,000. I mean, you're right there, but I mean, we're darn lucky that somebody went to Jewel and bought something to make that budget possible. And it seems like if you're coming up right onto it every year, that gets my attention. That there can be work done. And like I said, the reason why I bring this up is forward motion, to where like we're all working, we all have hard-earned money, and we like to see it go to work. And you're starting to see that at a federal level, and there's more tools now more than ever to make it efficient and make sure everybody's taken care of um, and that's what we plan to do. So let's dive into this meeting. It was a special meeting for the budget, and first of all, we thank our local officials to that they um, do this for us. It's a big rubber band. It's a big moving wheel, and uh, even though I have um, my differences, I don't claim to know everything, but I claim that I want to get in there and uh, make it more efficient. So we thank our village officials for doing this. Let's see what they have for us, and we'll watch it together. And like I said, you can call, text, and if you hear anything and you want to add something, feel free to.
Good evening. I'd like to call the special board meeting for the Village of Cary for February 11th, 2025 to order with roll call, please.
Walworth? Here. Collier?
Here.
Dudek?
Here.
Stefani?
Here.
Kounick?
Here.
Weinhammer?
Here.
At the ballot. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now moving to the open forum where the public is invited to make an issue-oriented comment on any matter of public concern not otherwise on the agenda. If nobody signed in, if there's anything that anybody would like to talk about that's not related to the CIP, you're welcome to come up and state your name and address and whatever you would like to say. But otherwise, we're going to go through the presentation, and then we'll have public comment about the presentation afterwards. So buckle down. It'll be just a little bit. So happy that you're here. It's nice to have people at the budget workshop. One thing I do want to say before we get going, I had an opportunity today with our Community Development Director, Brian Simmons. We met with the developer over at 2nd Street and 14. We toured the facility, the new buildings, and they're quite nice. He's got one sold, one with a hold on it, and a couple other people that potentially could be interested. So he's getting a lot of positive feedback in it. So they look really nice. So that was nice to be invited to check that out. All right, we have one thing on our agenda is a discussion regarding the fiscal year 2026, fiscal year 2030 capital improvement plan.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us for our first budget workshop that'll be focusing on our capital improvement program. Today's presenters that'll be joining me will be Brian Simmons, our Director of Community Development, our Chief of Police, Pat Finland, Director of Public Works and Engineering, Kayla Noonan, our Superintendent of Operations and Maintenance, Steve Kopaz, and our Superintendent of Utilities, Matt Anderson. So it's a little bit of an outline and agenda for this evening. We'll be going over the overall budget schedule, our meeting objectives for the CIP, which is the Capital Improvement Program, some of the summaries of accomplishments for our fiscal year 24-25, which is our current fiscal year. And you can see here in the second column, there's an outline of the different topics of the Capital Improvement Program. So these will all be reviewed and detailed shortly with all the slides tonight. And at the end, we'll have a total summary of the potential 5-year CIP costs, and then a review of our existing revenue sources. So as I mentioned with the schedule, the first budget workshop this evening is the Capital Improvement Program focus.
Let the record reflect that Trustee McAlpine has joined us at 6:04.
So our first budget workshop this evening is the CIP. The second workshop following this one will be Saturday, March 15th, at which time we'll review the proposed fiscal year 25-26 budget, along with a focus of the overall general fund. And then after that, the final budget consideration will be before the village board at the April 1st, 2025 meeting. So some of the objectives of our CIP. So the intent of the CIP is to identify potential projects for consideration in our upcoming budget. So it's very normal for this list to include projects that, more projects than a community such as Cary would actually implement or afford, but it's just best practice to outline all the different options that are out there so that when the village board is reviewing our potential budget, that they're aware of all the different options, both in the coming year and multiple years looking forward. So our main objectives are to identify, like I mentioned, and prioritize those major projects. We want to ensure transparency of our multi-year capital plan so that each budget year, there aren't any or minimal amount of new ideas and surprises coming up, so that most of these projects you, the board, and you, the public, have seen ahead of time as much as possible. The other objective is to receive feedback, which is why we have 2 separate workshops for review and public comment about the projects and proposals, as well as the final meeting for the budget approval. And then lastly, the document itself then becomes a guide for staff to aid in implementing the budget itself. And as a reminder for today's meeting, it is for discussion only, so no final decisions are made at this time. These are all precursor to the actual budget preparation and the ultimate approval of the budget, which would be the April 1st meeting for consideration. And as in past presentations of the CIP, we're just reminding everyone that the other goal in preparing this plan is to align it with our strategic priorities. So these 7 priorities here were first established and then added to and amended from the original 2014 strategic plan. And then, as I mentioned, over the last 10 years, we've done many updates and added to them, most recently including environmental sustainability in the last CIP to the priority list. Now we're going to go through some of our FY 24-25 accomplishments. I'm going to turn it over first to Director Simmons for Community Development.
This slide just summarizes a few of the accomplishments for the past year within the Community Development Department. As the board's aware, we continued with the implementation of the Central Cary TIF District this past year as the first year actually of the TIF. So we began operations budgeting for future projects that the TIF may be able to participate in or accomplish with public infrastructure improvements within the planned area. With that new TIF district, we were able to come to an agreement with the Cary School District 26 for an IGA for the transfer of the Maplewood property to the Village of Cary. And then through that acquisition, have began a RFP process to select a developer to potentially redevelop that site.
And I wanted to describe this graph here of what you're looking at. If you're not familiar with this type of graph, this in the center here of this slide is a visual of the larger, for those of you that have never seen a graph like this, the larger the font is, the more time that they've spent on that. And I don't know where they get the metrics from, or if this was just generated by how they feel, or if this was actually generated for them. But according to this graph, planning, building permits, and zoning were their heavy hitters for what they have been focusing
on. So we're continuing through that effort as we speak today, but it was an accomplishment nonetheless for the past year. We also implemented a new economic development website, choosecary.com, where individuals can find information that are looking for a new business location. Can go to that website to find information on the community, or also new residents that are looking for information on Cary. There's a one-stop shop, if you will, for finding information regarding the community for potentially relocating to our community. Within that, there also is a restaurant map that we created to provide additional information for individuals, restaurants in the community, as far as what offerings they provide, and then where they're located at, so individuals can order from those establishments and potentially have food delivered to downtown if they're in our Spring Street area in Fresco Valley. On the building permit side, we are continuing to enhance our utilization of our new permitting software that we implemented a few years ago. We've refined some of our processes within the department, utilizing the nature of that software system. So continuing to refine how we're able to receive and process building permits. For this past year, we issued over 1,100 building permits and about 2,500 inspections. So that software system has helped significantly with that. Also, this past year, we did do some significant upgrades or updates to our building permit fees that had been reviewed for a while. We adopted new fees in the summer months, then also adopted new building codes, refresh for current building trends that we're seeing in the area, international building codes. So that highlights a few of the updates or accomplishments that the Community Development Department saw this past year. And just a brief slide, again, to summarize where the business climate is in town. This is a slide that we typically show during the mayor's presentation on an annual basis, but occupancy in the community remains strong with our commercial sectors, industrial, retail, and office. Total occupancy is less than or total vacancy, I should say, is roughly around 2% of those spaces in the community, which is significantly less than it was about 10 years ago. When I actually started working in the village, you've seen a steady decline. We do have a blip, where things have gone up, but still we're at that 2% where a property does become available in town. It is quickly absorbed, usually for another user.
Some of the accomplishments for the police department for this fiscal year included the upgrade of the outdoor siren notification system to Motorola OptiWarn system. It uses the same communications platform that we use for our portable and mobile radios, and it's secure. Just to remind you that out in Harvard, they had someone that was able to activate their sirens without just transmitting a tone over their radio frequency, and now this will prevent that from occurring, and they can be activated independently. We've implemented our body-worn camera program. We had to statutorily January 1st, 2025, and we met that deadline. We are part of the McHenry County Regional Training Facility, and the firearms range, the training range, opened during this fiscal year. Last fiscal year, the training center opened as well. Our police commission was very busy in terms of establishing a sergeant's promotional register and the eligibility register. And during this time period, for the calendar year, we hired 5 patrol officers, but during the fiscal year, we hired 4. So they're on the road. We have 1 police officer in field training right now. Otherwise, everyone else is on their own. Our records section, with the implementation of the body-worn cameras, we anticipated a need for an additional person in records. So we have 3 full-time personnel in there, with 1 of the individuals promoted to supervisory position. We currently use Lexapol as our system for our policies, and it's really risk management based. And we achieved the gold level recognition for our accomplishments in regards to that. We hired our 27th sworn department member, and 1 additional member was then assigned to our investigation section, which allows us to have 2 detectives and then 1 school resource officer that we have in that section. Our personnel have been involved in some mutual aid teams, specifically the Major Investigation Assistance Team, where 2 of our members, a deputy chief and a sergeant, are part of the officer-involved shooting in custody death investigation team, and the deputy chief, Chad Fetzer, is the assistant commander for that team. Additionally, we have a sergeant, Perry Mercury, that is the commander for the McHenry County Major Crash Assistance Team. He just finished his traffic crash reconstruction, so statutorily he can investigate those traffic crashes from another agency if it involves a police officer that occurs with great bodily harm or a death that may occur in that traffic crash.
Then within the Public Works Department, another busy year. We've responded to over 1,600 Julie locates, responded to 14 winter events with a few more coming in the next couple of days. Assessed 606 trees, removed 69 of those trees, planted 66, and trimmed 541. We use our annual brush collection where we collected over 430 piles of brush. Outside of those statistics, we completed our inaugural Public Works of Art program with the surrounding schools, where we put murals on both the water and wastewater buildings throughout town. We're already planning on implementing a new program again this year, working with the schools. Just started that with their second semester of school here. So we also finalized a collective bargaining agreement with the employees that goes through fiscal year 2028, and we started the replacement of our lead service line program with 26 lines replaced this year, which is roughly about half, which we'll get into in a little bit more detail here shortly.
And from the village administrator's office, which is the kind of catch-all department that includes administration, budget, finance, GIS, human resources, IT, and legal and risk management. First accomplishment was the completion of an organizational assessment, which is the first of 2 phases that I'll go over a bit more on a subsequent slide. But it did give us a framework for some staffing and org chart changes that we made. We updated the welcome video, which we will show the public here in a moment as well. The Finance Department successfully completed the latest clean opinion for the audit and also maintained our very strong AA2 bond rating, which was reinforced and updated as part of the debt issuance for the Maplewood TIF assistance. Cary Main Street Fest, the event returned last year successfully, and the staff did perform the planning and implementation along with the Chamber of Commerce, and we're in full force with the next year planning for the 2025 event. A budget priority survey, which was utilized as part of the framework for this CIP presentation and analysis that was completed and released this year, along with a map-based reported concern system. So we replaced our online service request system with a new map-based version that is utilized to help Public Works and all operating departments respond to requests and concerns from the public. And then finally, we also implemented a new enterprise resource planning system. So similar to the Community Development Department from the permitting side, it's now under one umbrella software for utility billing, accounts payable, and payroll as well. As I mentioned, we have the new welcome video, which, if you'll indulge me, we'll play this for you here. Sorry about that. All right, and next we're going to talk a little bit about workforce development, which is not normally part of our capital improvement presentation, but I included this because the personnel on our team here at the Village of Cary are the ones that do all the work planning and implementing all these capital improvement projects. So I wanted to give this a little bit of attention as it is an important part of how we implement this plan. I mentioned earlier the organizational assessment that was performed on the Community Development, Public Works, and Village Administrator's Office for the non-union staff. We'll look at police in a later phase. Two of those first phases of recommendations we actually have implemented due to some planned retirements and some unexpected employee movement. So the first recommendations included converting a permit coordinator position to a permit supervisor, and then changing a customer service specialist position who retired recently to a new permit assistant. That position actually is being advertised currently, and we're hoping to fill that in the coming months. The recommendation and review of our operations showed that this study concluded that the economic development specialist should continue to be a part-time position based on our current needs and plan, and that the current part-time property maintenance inspector should also remain a part-time position for the time being. On the public works side, the recent retirement of our deputy director of public works facilitated a new change to add a superintendent of utilities position, which is now filled with the recent promotion of Matt Anderson. And also the recent departure of our assistant to the public works director, who took a job at another community. The recommendation was to turn that position to a more focused capital projects manager position. We anticipate filling that position in the next few weeks as well. And on the village administrator's office department, the recommendations were to consider converting the elected village clerk position, which has been actually vacant the last several elections due to lack of an interested person to run for the office, to an appointed position, but that would require a referendum for non-home rule communities. So that's something the board could consider at a future time. And then the other recommendations related to human resources and communications, and it suggested that it would be prudent.
So if you look at this slide right now that Mr. Miramoto, the village administrator, is going over, which he is a very good resource and smart man to deal with. He's been very helpful with my requests and stuff. If you look at the Public Works recommendations, the Deputy Director of Public Works position to Superintendent of Utilities, but then the one that got my attention was Assistant to the Public Works Director to Capital Projects Manager. So the Capital Projects is telling me that they're allocating resources away from Public Works to maybe move to what it says, Capital Projects Manager, which is what they're doing with all that $12-13 million project, which they're funding, some through grants and some through higher water bills that we'll all feel to facilitate that growth off of Route 31 for those apartments and that retail venture. So that might be a red flag to me, to where you're moving people away from the operations of public works to have them be at a desk worrying about these capital projects that are like the HR Green is a outside consultant for this, that they hire to take care of some of these issues. So now you're pulling away resources from public works to deal with expansion that most residents don't want. That would be turning your that the road they're trying to blow through all the way to Route 31, which is going to turn that road into a speedway potentially. So we haven't had all it come in yet to where we're going to see how the residents feel about that. They haven't really pulled the audience. That's why I'm having these discussions with you, to where I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear, you can text, call, and let's continue with the meeting here.
for the village to consider in the future making a separate position to focus on all the wide variety of HR needs that the village has, instead of having that relied upon as a partial part-time duty within existing positions, which primarily is handled by our assistant village administrator. And then this is the organizational chart that is the result of our current org chart. That is the result of the recent changes to our personnel from that study. And then lastly, just based on the culture of professional development that we have here, I just wanted to just share with the public that we are very proud of our team and their expertise. And these are just a list of the different certifications and licenses that we have village-wide, ranging from police training to building certifications to planning certifications and engineering licenses. We have a very talented crew, which is very important for a lean staff to implement a very complex capital improvement program like we have tonight. Now I'm going to turn it over to Director Simmons to talk a bit about community image and engagement.
Thank you. As we've done for previous CIPs, planning processes to kind of determine what type of recommendations should be made as far as community input. We've performed a survey back in 2020, was the last time it was performed just before the start of the COVID pandemic. Had 142 responses at that time period, and as far as the focus of items that the public wanted to see at that time, the main two areas that they wanted to see were essentially roads and infrastructure, looking for the community to spend dollars towards those types of improvements. As part of this process, to help the board with making additional decisions within the CIP, the village again performed an analysis this year, had a survey that was available to the public for review. Had more respondents in the last survey that was received back in 2020. About 180 individuals responded to the survey this time. And the results you can see on the slide here. Specifically for the main topic that the village wanted to see planned for, the highest categories that had responses for three most important items, again, were infrastructure, looking at drinking water, roads, bicycle, pedestrian facilities were infrastructure projects that were highlighted, as is additional economic development was also highlighted as an important aspect that the community wants to see. Specifically focusing on downtown Cary, there was a response for additional public gathering spaces, which the village has planned. As you'll see within the CIP presentation this evening, there is public gathering spaces planned for in the upcoming years within the CIP, but also there's a desire for more special events. So looking at the farmers market, the cruise nights, Main Street Fest, things that we have been doing downtown, looking for potential ways that you can possibly encourage additional activity within the downtown area as well. And then separate focus questions, we're looking at Rotary Park as well. And it's obvious to see where the majority of the responses came. We're looking for paved trails at that facility. So that's the highlight from that specific property, but there are additional requests for other amenities out there that would improve the enjoyment of that property, looking for potentially additional bathrooms, restroom facilities, or amenities that people could utilize as they're visiting that site.
Excuse me. Are we waiting to comment or ask questions? I've not seen it in the slides, but can I see numbers at a later time that's associated with this bar chart? Bar charts are kind of misleading sometimes, so I just want to actually see. So for drinking water, is that 2 people? Is that 10 people? Is it 100 people? What is that?
Yeah, we can provide that information as well.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of leading into the comments we saw in the survey for more public events, one of the other initiatives that the staff has been asked to look at is the potential creation of an Arts and Events Commission in order to help facilitate the planning of current and new events, as well as facilitate maybe the selection of our longer-term public art desires as well. So this is something that the village staff will be bringing before for discussion to the board at a future meeting. But it is something I just wanted everyone to be aware of that is in the radar. And we mentioned earlier The return of Cary Main Street Fest last year was a resounding success, and we are still planning for the next iteration of it this coming fall. Now we're going to be moving from a 2-day event to a 3-day event. So it'll be Friday, I believe it's September 19th, Saturday the 20th, and Sunday the 21st. We're still proposing to partner with the Cary Chamber of Commerce, and that is a 50-50 split of expenses up front with an investment from the village of $25,000 per year. And with the feedback for the desire for additional events, we're also looking for some direction and feedback on whether or not there is a desire for more partnerships and more events. And our two primary locations where there's the most opportunity, of course, are Cary Lake and downtown. With Cary Lake, you could see some example opportunities are maybe some lakeside movie nights. There's some different options now for outdoor movie viewing, whether it's a screen that's installed actually in the water and viewed from the shore, or you can even have some, instead of a drive-in theater, you can look at a concept of a paddle-up theater, perhaps with our vendor that we have for kayak rentals. There's also many opportunities for live music and food trucks that we haven't had too much of yet at the Cary Lake, especially with the new pavilion that's in place, and perhaps hosting other festivals. Especially in the downtown, we have plenty of activity in the summertime with cruise night and the farmers market, but there could be opportunity for more events, especially in the springtime, perhaps tied to other events that are drawing crowds to the community, like the March Madness Half Marathon that happens in a few weeks, actually. So any comments, I guess, from the board with regard?
So this is an interesting concept. At the end of this video, you'll hear a gentleman from the community mention, why does the Village of Cary own a park instead of the park district? And right now I'm seeing I'll make the record clear, I'm not a huge fan of when municipalities tinker in private things, and it has nothing to do with being a business owner. It takes away, for example, in Crystal Lake, when I was younger, I would go mini golfing, and my parents would take me mini golfing. You see no mini golf places anymore. And Crystal Lake has a park district ran mini golf place. And there was one in Crystal Lake by the Walmart. There was one in Woodstock. There was there was a whole bunch of them. Now there's none. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of when government tinkers in private, whether it be forcing the invisible hand of progress, or taking away business opportunities from their residents or from other businesses. And that happens with golf courses. That happens with mini golf courses. That happens with food trucks that go to a municipal ran park. I'm all for community gatherings. It's just you see a going trend with kneecapping, like in downtown. You're kneecapping business owners when you have this municipal ran, for instance, their sidecar venture, which is a bar that they want to put up literally right across the street from another bar in downtown. And that's on municipal owned property with a private vendor. But it's just interesting to me that everything must be going so well, and you've done everything you possibly can to make all these other services amazing, that you can start tinkering with private ventures and affecting the invisible hand of how business operates and succeeds. That's not just Cary, that's everywhere, not just Crystal Lake, that's everywhere, of where you're seeing that takeover of the helping hand of government kneecapping businesses in a sense, to where you feel it. Like I'm stuck on the mini golf thing. There was one in McHenry, there was one in Woodstock, and there's no places for our kids to inspire anymore other than government ran mini golf. police, public works, fire, get out of the way after that. Make those things really, really strong. Make sure everybody that works there is safe. They go home, and you're the best on the block. Then you can start worrying about food trucks and mini golf.
In regards to the idea of more special events and location. That helps.
Particularly at Cary Lake. I think the idea of the movies is a neat one. I think Cary Lake, I said it before, I think it would be ideal for some sort of fireworks show somewhere down the road. It could certainly accommodate an awful lot of people sitting at the banks. Parking would be an issue, but then again, parking would be an issue if we had something downtown too, and you drew that many people. But short answer, yes, more.
I'll piggyback on that. I agree as well. And we could do some partnership even with the Park District on some of those type of things. I'd like to see some of us partner up on different things that we can bring out. I think that people are looking for things for their families to do, whether it's young children, plus other people that just want other events. We do have some events that go on at Lions Park through the Park District, but I think we can utilize, we have a gem here with Cary Lake. That's a gem that we'd really like to get people to know what's there and how can we bring some things to the public. I think that there is a huge desire to do that, but I like the public-private partnership idea of some of these things. So, but I think with some of the changes we're making downtown, we're also going to have some additional opportunities to focus on some more events down there, whether they're arts events, whether they're entertainment events, whether it's a combination.
Right, and we've talked to many different people now with the addition of the new Gleneckie Family Plaza, Community Family Plaza, which is going to be starting construction this year. We will have a pavilion there. So my goal is to get the youth of the community involved in the downtown and be part of it, get them out of their parents' basements with bands in their garages and put on little shows for neighborhoods or get people involved to come out and we'll have seating there. There'll be permanent seating there, but bring some chairs and just go sit and encourage the kids to get involved. And that parlays into what we've been doing with the school district with the art that we have on some of our facilities. We have business owners downtown that have given us a thumbs up to put them on their buildings. So. This is really something that we've discussed with District 26 as well as 155 for music and art, and they're thrilled to be able to be part of this. So I think this is going to be a very exciting time for us this next year when this all gets completed downtown. It'll create a whole new, really a charming small-town vibe down there. So we're excited about that, and I think that with the implementation of a community or the Arts and Entertainment Committee, that will really help us step it up a little bit.
For the record, you heard the term public-private partnership, P3 or PPP. That's something you'll probably hear more of on this show. For the record, I'm not a fan of it. It's messy sometimes if it's not done right, and to say the least. And I think there's a more graceful way of doing it to where you don't have all your fingers in public-private partnerships. When done correctly, are beautiful, but more times than not, they're messy. And that's something you'll hear more about. For the record, I'm not a huge fan of them because I think there's a more graceful way of doing it to inspire private to come into your community rather than you're going to work with us.
So well done.
As it relates to the paving piece, I keep forgetting this. The paving piece that's been mentioned many, many times. I just wonder, is there an opportunity if we look at paving, which I'm guessing we will probably sooner rather than later, to have some sort of an area where around the pavilion you might have the opportunity for people to buy bricks, with their names on it as part of a memorial and maybe help the integration of asphalt into that to make it look a little bit nicer. I mean, you see that in a lot of
Sure.
places, but, and you'll see it in a couple weeks when you go to Disney World, right, when you first walk in. I just think it's something that's a little unique, and I know certainly many people would buy a brick to memorialize that.
Yeah. And we're getting a lot of activity down there too. People have requested permits to do family events down there at utilizing the new pavilion there. So it's going to be quite a showplace. As Trustee Dudek would said, it's going to be a gem in our community. So we're looking forward to, creating some really fun things down there too.
If you've noticed in this presentation, the Rotary Park has been they spent the majority of the time so far on Rotary Park, and that's time that could have been allocated into police, public works, fire, other services, making it easier for you to put an addition, making it potentially fun experience for you to put on an addition. Like, hey, congratulations, we're excited, have a welcoming packet, and because right now I'm looking at this summary of revenues from 16 to 23. Licenses and permits, and you're looking at 264,000, 157,000, and it hovers below 500,000, 300,000, and that, like, if you're running things that tight to where you need to facilitate somebody that's already, like, they're wanting to invest into their property and their home, and then they have to navigate licensing and permitting in a certain way to where it might even discourage them to do it or want them to do it off the books. Now you're doing stuff because in my eyes, licensing and permits, like, maybe it's just because I came from the fire end of it, it's about safety and making sure, like, that electrical was put in right. Like, we all seen the videos. I don't know if you have, but home inspectors coming in and be like, that's not right. That's not right. It's about making sure that no fires are started, everything's on the up and up, rather than slowly driving by and being like, you can't store that there and stuff like that. It's about making sure that the fire doesn't start, making sure that, it's done properly to where if there is a fire, the firefighters are safe and it's not like exposed wiring and stuff. So the most amount of time has been spent on Rotary Park. Give it to the park district and say, have fun with it. That's their wheelhouse. That's what they do. And focus on providing services and making things more efficient. Now more than ever, we need that. Give me one moment while I pull that back up.
Some of the utility cabinets throughout the village with some art.
These are banner concept designs that were submitted to us through Corbin as part of our entryway wayfinding signage and banner program. We've budgeted to purchase these next year to replace our old worn out ones that we put on downtown and on Route 14.
So we're hoping everybody enjoys the new fresh look. It's a little bit of a unique take compared to what most communities have on their banners, and I think it'll will complement what we have downtown very well.
Does that 5,000 for all the lights in downtown, all the poles?
Just the poles, just the signage.
Signage on the street?
Poles are there already, right?
And
Yes.
and the brackets.
And we would just be rotating them based on the season.
Correct.
Right.
How old are the other ones?
Old. So I would say they're over about 10 years old.
Yeah,
They're
it's
starting to rip, and it's showing signs of age.
Eric, can I go back real quick to the wrap? One, yeah. Question, and Mayor, you probably remember this from a number of years ago. I brought this up at one point in time about the potential of making one of our water towers look like a golf ball, because we have so many golf courses in town. I mean, I don't know if this is true or not, but my guess is per capita, we may have more golf courses than any other town in McHenry County. Probably be something good for us to take a look to see if that's the case. And, you know, I know we go through ever so often the repainting of those towers, and they're very, very expensive. Do you guys know, can a water tower be wrapped? Is that something you've either seen other communities do, or something maybe we could at least look at and see if it's feasible?
Wrap, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think.
No?
Because of the condensation.
Yeah, they gotta get coated.
Okay, because of the temperature change and the condensation that builds up. Okay.
It's a special approved paint that has to be on there.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't know that. So much for that idea. I'll come up with another one.
Hey, if you don't throw it out there, we need to know what people are thinking.
I still think it'd be interesting to find out if we do have more golf courses per capita in the town.
Only one of them is within the village, Cary.
Well, people think it's
Yeah.
People think a lot
If
of
it says Cary in their address, they live in Cary. So.
We received a lot of compliments over our new holiday decorations this past year. We would like to continue that momentum and looking to purchasing more for future years, so that way we'd have a variety that we could rotate in and out.
I am going to just provide one comment on that comment about the golf ball on the water tower. I like the fact that he was wanting to say that and providing a way of, one, it would get people to come in. If you want to position yourself as the place to play golf, that's not necessarily a bad idea. I like the method of thinking with that. I'm not married to the fact of golfing, but the fact that mindset of, hey, how can we, instead of just forcing the hand of public-private 1,000+ apartments and all this forced hand stuff, what is our identity? And it was said before by the director of Cary Youth Baseball Softball that we have an identity crisis. Like we're going through a phase to where we're getting rid of historical landmarks. We're scrubbing history from the area. Kids are growing up with technology. Farmland's going away. Retail and stack 'em, pack 'em. High rises are going up. I think I like that mindset of that. One, he was like willing to say that, and I wouldn't want to have a environment to where you would feel that you wouldn't want to bring something up. Like even I wouldn't have the environment to where, like, even if you think in your head that it's stupid, say it, because that might lead to something great. So I like that he said that, and it has nothing to do with golf. It has nothing to do with, it says spitballing. Now, do I wish that they were spending more time on when they went through police, public works, other services that are fundamental of why government exists, yeah, they turned and burned through those, and now we're talking about um, paddle up movies.
So we're not always putting up the same thing every year.
Any feedback on the downtown decorations? Does the board feel like our progress and momentum is going as desired? Like a
That's great.
I heard
I've
positive,
heard nothing but
huge
positive.
positive,
We're
yeah.
like, wow, they're impressed. And it wasn't that expensive to do. Thanks, Steve.
It's a great job.
What's the life of those decorations, roughly?
It's hard to say. They are, they're pretty thick, they are heavy, so, you know, if it's just the weather, I would hope we could get at least 10 years out of them, but being downtown, that's why we have lower amounts in the out years is to plan for if we have to replace stuff.
And we talked about early on in the planning stage, you're going to rotate some of the stuff out. Some of the new stuff will be
Yes.
in different themes, that kind of thing, just so everybody knows that. It's not all going to be the same.
So this 20,000 is not just for Christmas, it could be for other things.
Well, this is for the holiday decorations.
I will say,
Halloween, Easter, what do you?
Hey, this is open discussion. If you'd like to see some other types of decorations for other things.
I'll say that the decorations that we did, we had the snowmen, the candy canes, the ornaments. These are commercial grade decorations, so that 20 grand fades out very quickly with how expensive that these are.
Yeah, these are pretty reasonable scale and price. Not cheap, but reasonable. Obviously, the sky's the limit. You could spend a lot more money than that. I wouldn't throw a number out there if desired, but I think without overwhelming the look and the feel of our downtown, this is a good start, and we don't want it to get too gaudy, per se.
And we have to live within our means.
I do think Halloween has become just huge in the United States, and yeah, it just takes you from Halloween right to Christmas. You forget about Thanksgiving anymore, but that's something that I think we should look at. If we have some place to hold it, you know, I don't know what kind of event to do. I don't have young kids anymore, so I don't know what they do nowadays, but Halloween would be something I'd like to see us explore a little bit more.
Sure. And then the plaza should be done by then. We could do something down there.
And you know, we do, the Chamber of Commerce does do a big event for children. They do a big Halloween walk. And they don't do it downtown anymore because they feel like there's a lot of other activities that focus on downtown. So they do it through the plaza, through the Jewel Plaza. Everyone walks through there. But I think with Halloween and stuff, I do think that could be something you engage the business community with down there. And you could have people that go in and say, hey, I'm going to, decorate different light poles, I mean, come up with some, even a fun contest. There's, again, I would love to see us cooperate with some of the businesses down there and see if they'd be interested in partnering with us on something like that.
Yeah. And then we have the ability now to shut the street down whenever we'd like to with all the balusters and things that we have and the safety devices that make an event over there, on a Saturday or something, a Halloween costume contest or something, just getting more people downtown.
This presentation, this is the budget meeting for the Village of Cary, and we're just watching it and providing commentary. This whole presentation is, if you noticed, they laid it out. Public Works, Police, and now it's talking about swim up, paddleboard, movie nights, and golf ball, water towers, ornaments. And there's been a considerable more amount of time spent on stuff that necessarily doesn't help the person living off of Social Security or paycheck to paycheck, or even if they're just doesn't move the needle for. And this is operating capital budget. It's a workshop. I understand it's a workshop, but I mean, you have some pretty heavy duty stuff on the to be going over, and the beginning was boom, boom, boom. Now it's ornaments and candy canes, which is fun. That's my wheelhouse. I love that stuff. But first principles, municipal corporation, governing, police, public works, fire, get out of the way.
It would be
I'll
inexpensive to do.
take the opportunity to throw this out for the first time.
And that doesn't mean that I'm not for creative and living inspired. Like for the record, I love the oversized ornaments. I think that looks awesome. I'm all about that. That's a good purchase. Stuff that makes kids see this represents the village code. This is 800 pages long. In here, it says a business cannot have an attention-getting device, but they can plop down something oversized ornaments on a sidewalk. So I think there's a fundamental shift that needs to be made to where you need to play nice in the sandbox, focus on police, fire, public works, clean water. Like we had lead pipe issues with 200 plus pipes remaining to be replaced, and that was about 20 minutes ago in this presentation, and we spent like maybe 2 minutes on it, and we've spent probably a half hour on candy canes. So does it move the needle? It makes you feel good, warm, fuzzy. I'm all for that. I'm all for, and I love that stuff. But first principles, boil it down. You're here to provide services, provide police response, make sure that they stay safe, they go home. Not a police state. Let's take a look at public works, water quality, what's in the water, fire, make sure they're supported, make sure they have the training assets and everything. I'd like to see this whole thing flipped, and like the amount of time they spent on Rotary Park downtown to be spent on stuff that actually affects your street.
And it won't be the last time in any of these budget meetings you hear this. I will remain focused on the scope of what we should, or what's our core competency. And coming from a household that decorates for every holiday, I would be more inclined to do the longest single holiday season one time and do it right, and then move on. Because number one, to be fiscally responsible, I don't know that it's our business as a community to decorate the entire downtown for Valentine's Day and then St. Patrick's Day and then Easter and then all that. Let's stick to what we do. I would not be disappointed if we didn't do any, to be perfectly frank. I do like it. I enjoy it. I go down there and see it. But I feel like we need to make sure that we're focusing on the priorities that were just listed to us 5 or 6 slides earlier. So again, this is just discussion purposes, but I'm comfortable with these numbers, seeing what came in last year. To expand upon that, I would have to be thoroughly convinced that it's going to be worthwhile investment.
I see that. Thank you.
Great answer.
Thank you.
Moving on to our community signage, we've been working, as Steve mentioned earlier, on our wayfinding signage. We're finalizing the last details of that. Over the next 5 years, we're hoping to implement some of these signs, including the subdivision signs and additional landscaping around our entryway signs. We propose the funds be allocated for the new subdivision signs and would anticipate 2 signs to be installed in the upcoming fiscal year with 1 sign thereafter. The reason for the 2 signs in the first fiscal year is there's 2 signs that are in immediate need of replacement that we would look to replace with this upcoming budget year. And then as far as wayfinding signage, we would budget $100,000 for the first year of wayfinding sign and an additional 75 in the next fiscal year, with the remainder of $50,000 to finish off all signage for the wayfinding sign project.
I would really like to, the wayfinding signs, especially with the parking and things like that for the downtown, that to me should be our first priority.
I agree. Well, this has all been derived to from our strategic plan downtown that we're missing that. I'll say it again, I say it every time. We don't have a problem with parking downtown. We have a problem telling people where they can park downtown. We have ample parking. We just need to get people in the habit of going to the places, including the Metro lot after 11:30 every day. And it's free on the weekends. But I think this will create more of a informational thing, and I agree with Trustee McAlpine that the wayfinding signage is critical. I'd put that above replacing subdivision signs.
And then I would add to that, just for definition's sake, wayfinding signs are not just here's where to drive for this parking. Include that in the conversation when we're talking about Main Street and Route 14, having more abundant, good signage that tells people that you can't go straight into Main Street from the right lane of westbound 14. Having more, the more signage I don't want to be overdoing it, but the more signage we can have at that intersection, my God, the better it can be. So moving that up to the mayor's comments, moving that up as a priority above subdivision signs, I would agree with wholeheartedly.
You all beat me to the punch here, but you can see on
again, these are just ideas that are the community has noted that we've been working on for years, and we have an opportunity to.
And they're talking about wayfinding signage about $300,000 over the course of 3 years, and you kind of saw right there in real time of how they wrapped it in to where you just saw it. So, pride in where you live, subdivisions. That's over here now. Downtown, wayfinding signage, $300,000 over the next 3 years, $300,000. Now they just justified that with, well, it's about the safety of that intersection. So now that's going to get bumped up. I love you don't want to put the cart before the horse and have all these you've seen it with a whole bunch of towns that put up wayfinding signage and stuff, and it is a great educational tool for that impulse or to educate the driver on where to park and stuff like that. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that matures over the next few meetings. Like if you back up. Yeah, we'll have to see how that matures, and I mean, if you look at it, subdivision signs, 15,000, 6,000, 8,000, but wayfinding signage, 108, 75, 90. Yeah, it boils down to being present and common sense and not putting the cart before the horse. To where yeah, if you look at the subdivision signs, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going out 5 years with $10,000 average $10,000 spends versus wayfinding signage. First year it's 109,000. So it's a downtown play with, well, it's about the safety in the intersection. I'm all for downtown. I'm all for wayfinding signage. Just the dance that I can't stand sometimes.
Well, this has all been.
The second phase would be signage within IDOT and McDOT right away, or McHenry County DOT right away, in order to have adequate time for permitting and coordination with them. Few projects that are within the CIP. This is a future unfunded project, US Route 14 illuminated street signs. It is shovel-ready, similar to the ones that were installed on West Main near High Road with the downtown project. Conceptual cost for this project is approximately $160,000, and as I mentioned, it is currently unfunded, but is shovel-ready. I believe all of these signs are along 14, so 3 Oaks, West Main, First,
Jandis.
And
well, West Main, East Main Street too. Yeah, this is something we've been working on since 2009.
That cost us for all the signs or one?
that's the estimate for all of this.
Oh, for all of them, yeah. Again, these are all things that they're nice to have, but it's not a need. But
and we also always look at opportunities for grants or things like that. I mean, that's something that I think that our staff needs to be commended on. What a great job they do with always going and finding out things that could possibly help offset costs to do these type of things that are unfunded. So
this would not be any new poles, this is
just the signs. They would mirror the ones that are currently in downtown at High Road and Main Street.
So to Trustee Walrat's comment about our favorite intersection, is there an opportunity at some point to maybe have this, I don't think we have this now, we just have a pole there, but if we could have the state, I assume is that the state?
14, yeah.
State put a horizontal bar with some overhead signs that have the arrows, how you see them in all communities. That seems like that would be an ideal place for the overhead arrows.
You would think. We proposed that to the state, and they turned us down. I think we were going to pay for it, and they said no, because it's the states. They won't give us the right. I was in Springfield last week and meeting with the legislators, and we were talking about some of our projects, and we all kind of honed in on downtown Cary, and all of us there, and they were very intrigued at the amount of interest through the region that was had on that. So hopefully maybe we can get something that's a little bit more substantial. Kaylin, we do have some signs coming, some changes.
Yes, and that is in the presentation a little bit further. That's okay. What they are doing as part of the project, and then exactly what you mentioned.
Here we are ping-ponging. Hey, we got asked and answered, right? Yeah.
Anything else before?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Continuing, no, that's okay. Continuing on the community signage and streetlights, just summarizing this, all of the additional items that we just mentioned. Here's their outlined forecasted cost. One of the items that we didn't mention was the LED streetlight replacement. That would just be converting existing streetlights that are not LED to LED, and I believe we have approximately 120 lights remaining that need replacement into LED. So that currently is fiscal year 28-29.
And out of the 120, those are our lights. They're not ComEd lights.
Correct.
Correct. So this would not technically do the entire village. It's just ours that we're responsible for.
Correct.
Thank you.
Focusing on community and economic development items within the CIP, one item that we've heard from
Remaining that need.
I was just going through this slide, events, Cary Main Street Fest partnership. That stays steady at 25,000. Public art, 7,000 for 25-26 fiscal year, and then it goes to 5,000, and then fiscal year 27-28, 35,000. Then it drops back down to 5,000. Banners, 5,000. Entryway signage, landscape enhancement, 35,000 for 25-26, and then I believe that says 85,000 for 26-27. Then it drops back down for 5,000. Illuminated street street name signs that they've been they said they were been working on since 2009 along 14. Looks like they have that on the 28-29 projected. LED street light replacement, 28-29 for 100,000. And downtown holiday decorations kind of falls off there after 20,000 through 25-26 and 27. And then the wayfinding signage is your it's like a little over $200,000 investment for wayfinding signage over the next 3 years.
Replacement into LED. So that currently is fiscal year 28
plan.
all of the LED streetlight
Plans that were both approved in 2021 for the Algonquin Cary sub-area plan around Route 31. And then the downtown Cary strategic plan was also adopted in 2021. So within the next fiscal year, we're proposing a small item for potential amendment to look at the comprehensive plan, so not a full rewrite of the plan, but potentially looking at areas of the plan that may need additional review. Just for comparison, the two sub-area plans that were done for the Route 31 corridor in downtown, those both cost about $120,000. So the $50,000 budgeted here would be significantly less than a full document from that standpoint. But providing some funds in the CIP to potentially study that and can have additional discussion with the board as far as what the scope of that would be as we move forward throughout the fiscal year.
This comprehensive plan amendment and strategic priorities update. The comprehensive plan was done by a third party. It was done by a third party out of the city of Chicago. That has offices out in LA as well. And if you look here, they're wanting to update the plan. So the comprehensive plan for 25-26 would be an additional 80. I believe that says 80,000. And then strategic priorities update would be another 5,000. So just laying it out. We looked at that document. The comprehensive plan was a document that was done by a third party. It was $100,000 to make. It was 98 pages long. literally $1,000 a page, including the blank pages. And now they want to retap it for 80,000. I'd be interested to see why they need to go back to the drawing board, what was wrong, what was right with that, and why they feel the need to pretty much have 80,000 is it's blurry here for me. So if it is 80,000, that's pretty much redoing it all over again. That's spinning your wheels in my book.
Then another item that's also anticipated for the budget would be to host or perform a strategic priorities workshop with the board to focus on potential future goals of the community as far as things that the board would like to see the community work towards within our strategic objectives and also for planning purposes from that standpoint, if there's certain things that the board would like to see continue to be focused on in the upcoming years.
And for reference, the last time the village did a workshop and a full refresh of a strategic plan was December of 2014. So that also has been quite some time. And the numbers shown here in the CIP aren't for a full-blown workshop, but more of a focused workshop, similar to one that I actually just participated in as part of our board of directors for Naturally McHenry County. Speaking of Naturally McHenry County, which is our destination marketing organization and visitors bureau for the region. So right now, the Village of Cary is a partner with, I'll say NMC, just to make it shorter here, so the presentation doesn't get longer. And NMC did give us our 2024 marketing report. So we're happy to show that for our $10,000 investment, we actually received the equivalent of about $63,000 of marketing, which included social media, website, influencer campaigns, which featured a few videos focused on our downtown, our farmers market, and some local restaurants, as well as other digital advertising. Our current partnership, as I mentioned, is level 1, or about $10,000. I'm looking to see if the board is interested in continuing that partnership. You can see here this is what is entailed with that. It did feature the photography sessions, many of which were used in updating our welcome video and our website and our economic development website, as well as the other advertising initiatives that were in cooperation with the other county partners as well. There are options for other partnerships that go up between $20,000 and $30,000. But at this point, staff is recommending maintaining the current level 1 partnership. But there is one a la carte option that could be considered, and that is if the village board was interested in a community or Cary-specific mini guide. The city of McHenry just recently finished one with NMC, and there's a print edition as well as a digital edition. So it includes a lot of additional photography and the entire guide, unlike the guide that goes countywide. It would entail just Cary-specific entertainment, restaurant, and visitor-based attractions. So if that's something that the board is interested in, that is $15,000 on top of our $10,000 partnership. Or the option could be to go to a level 3 partnership, maybe for 1 year, go back to level 1 in the subsequent year. The level 3 partnership includes the mini guide.
My question with that is, how does that compare with the Chamber of Commerce does a community guide? So I mean, I don't want to double dip and spend extra money if the Chamber of Commerce is already doing one.
Oh, certainly. The Chamber's guide is more of a list of the different options and companies and businesses, whereas this would be a more graphic-based, the kind of thing that you would hand to someone visiting you from out of town, or that we would bring to a meeting with a prospective developer or a business looking to move into town. It does support not just the visitors that come to the community, but also it supports what's really great about our community that would make someone want to live here. Because when new businesses are looking at setting up shop, the workforce aspect of it is important as well.
I think I'd like to see what one of them looks like and compare it.
Sure, I can send the board the link to the McHenry version of it, and we can talk about it further.
Hey, I'm sorry, Eric. Do you mind going back one? Thanks. Is this, does this include us, our town having advertisement in their mailings, like how they send out the Naturally McHenry County magazine?
Yes. So that guide that you're referencing, and that's kind of the full county-wide version. So the community guide would be similar to that, but just about Cary.
Okay, so how often do they mail those magazines out?
They do the book once a year.
Oh, it's only once a year? I feel like I get it.
The regional,
frequently.
the regional is once a year. They would do one specifically for Cary. I don't know if that, I would be, this is still kind of new to us. We took many years to decide to do this, and it's been very, I think it's money well spent. We've gotten a lot of recommendations from people, just the videos that they put on social media, really highlighting what's going on in the community. They kind of went corner to corner and really included a lot of different interesting ideas where people are commenting about, I didn't know that Cary had that in. So that's what we want. We want the people to come into the town. So I think that I would, if it was up to me, I'd recommend that we stay where we are for now and kind of just see how this goes into the next year and see, keeping our eye on the ball, making sure that we're getting our bang for our buck. But this has been something that we considered for a long time, and we finally pulled the trigger last year. And it's been good. I think if you look at the statistics that we have from this, it really shows that we're getting a lot more people coming into town, which is what we want.
And as Trustee McAlpine mentioned, the chamber does it already, but get them to step up their game a little bit and put some graphics in theirs maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Continuing with economic development projects, kind of the largest one that's in the CIP budget for potential impact in the community is the Maplewood Access Road. As the board is aware, we did start the phase 1 design that was paused temporarily as we were working through land ownership issues or design issues with the school district regarding the Maplewood site. Now that the property is transferred, the village owns the property, we're able to resume completion of the phase 1 portion of the project. So this year, we will be completing that with additional open houses for community feedback on the final design alternative for the roadway. And then also looking to begin phase 2 of that project, which would be the actual design of the roadway, construction drawings, and any potential property acquisition that would be necessary for that. That would align with potential redevelopment of the Maplewood property with the construction of that roadway potentially occurring in tandem over the next 3 fiscal years. This slide gives some additional information as far as other programs that are budgeted within the CIP for community development. We continue the facade grant program that we implemented this year with funding for the next several years, again with budgeted numbers specifically coming from the TIF for up to 4 grants within the TIF, and also outside the TIF for up to 2.5 grants based on the maximum of 10 grand per project. This year we've been able to issue 3 grants for projects within the community thus far. Also, other projects to highlight, the budget also includes funding for economic development, which include retaining the economic development specialist and also attending trade shows and other efforts for attracting businesses to the community. And then the information described previously for the Maplewood Access Road and the potential for the community guide if desired.
Here are some suggestions as it relates to technology and included in the fiscal year 25-26 budget. The $42,000 a year for the GIS systems that are used primarily by Public Works. The installation, an addition of a camera that would show the individual presenting to the village board. Updating our desktop, laptop computers that aren't able to run Windows 11. Microsoft stops supporting Windows 10 in October of 2025, and we anticipate that some of the desktops and laptops won't be able to run that operating system, and the IT consultant has produced a replacement system that would relocate some of the current computers that are in use and then purchase new computers for uses such as our record section that have to now redact body-worn camera video. The telephone system and service is set for next budget year and the year after that. The current telephone system that we have now was relocated from our old village hall, so it's difficult to find handsets and things of that nature, and it's due for a replacement. As you heard, we've implemented our body-worn camera and in-car video systems, and that comes with a additional cost of $40,000 a year for the next 4 years. And then it's a 5-year agreement that we're in with Motorola Solutions, and we have to renegotiate another agreement at the 5th year, which is fiscal year 29-30. Currently, we use older tasers. They're X26Ps. They're no longer available. We buy them refurbished, and the replacement's a Taser 10, but they've gone to a different type of pricing schedule where it's more of a license than it is to purchase the equipment, which is why we've been a little bit resistant in terms of procuring the Taser replacements, but that's $11,000 a year as we use them. Our current portable radios were acquired 2016. They're due for replacement, and that again would be a large purchase, $240,000. And again, with the new pricing schemes that are in some of these vendors, there's a $3,000 licensing cost from that point forward. And in the next fiscal year, 26-27, upgrade of our software for the cemetery management.
I just wanted to, I made the comment earlier about I wanted to see this whole thing flipped. I thought the presentation was shorter. We're an hour into a 2-hour and 40-minute presentation. I made the comment that I wanted to see more time spent on police, fire. Fire is a protection district, so it doesn't really necessarily pertain to the municipality, although I would like to see them brought in on that conversation. But I just wanted to make the correction of it is nice to see them touching back on this stuff rather than just ending with feel-good stuff. So it is good to hear the chief there talk about their position and where they're wanting to go. So I just wanted to let you know about that and admit that I was too soon to speak on that one. But when I interject and I provide commentary or critiques, I like to move to raise the tide for all ships, and that's a cliche, but it's really you can't even see me talking. It's when I interject, I want to provide context first and foremost, but then also if I see something that is maybe a little foggy for the viewer at home, that's when I like to say something. If I see something that doesn't align with where I think we need to tighten the screws a little bit, that's when I will also voice up. And I would like for you at home to also voice up as well. Feel free to call and or text. I will probably split this into two. Since we're coming up on 11, we'll probably do the old, not that I planned on having that viewership technique of like, well, you got to tune in tomorrow night. But we'll probably end this at 11. And then the community comments will probably be in tomorrow's show. So it'll be at 9 o'clock tomorrow. So let's listen to what else they have for us up until 11. And feel free to text or call with your comments.
focusing on a couple projects within the CIP for the downtown area, downtown improvements. This year, the village will be beginning work on the community plaza enhancements for where the old depot station was located. For the public's knowledge, the village did receive a approximately $470,000 grant from the RTA through the CMAC program, and also a private donation to assist with redevelopment.
I may have spoke too soon. This is where you start to see the P3 private partner, private public private partnership, and the facilitating, like what I spoke of earlier about the mini golf, the golf courses, the when government comes in and starts to run things, that takes away from the invisible hand of that person that wants to start a something, or even in this case, like you look across the street and you have a long-standing business, and then you have a facilitated municipal project here on municipal property right next to private property, that road, which is interesting. And now they're competing with private and diluting. So let's see what they have to say here.
Or the enhancement of that area. And beginning in this year, summer, we will be reconstructing that area with a new plaza, pavilion area, outdoor fireplace, and seating wall. So another area that residents will be able to congregate in the downtown for enjoyment of the downtown environment. And this slide just provides a different perspective of the proposed improvements. Again, trying to enhance the physical presence of downtown and continue the streetscape work that was completed this last year to provide another gathering space that'll bleed into future projects as well.
Then the third phase of the whole downtown
development, or the...
Just going back to this slide here, you'll see all these little brown squares here are, I believe, seating areas. And where this conceptual view on the bottom left-hand corner of this rendering is that ironically covers up the tracks there, is where they have a leased municipal-owned property that they are leasing for $500 a month to a vendor to sell alcohol. So now you have a municipality with its own liquor license to sell alcohol, or giving, well, it's actually layered. It's more layered than that. You have a municipality leasing for $500 a month, which is amazing. It gets messy. So imagine you own the tracks, right? And you're like, wow, they're doing a lot of great stuff in downtown, and they're at least they're putting attention in the downtown. And some would say that's great stuff. Some would say it wouldn't. That's why I want to hear your voices. Imagine you own the tracks. And now the city that you decided to set up shop at is leasing land directly across the street from you to sell something that you have. That's where I don't align with the public-private partnerships, is that I saw it early on, like with the mini golf thing in Crystal Lake. I was like, okay, Crystal Lake opens a mini golf place, and now I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different mini golf places close due to hardship through 2020 through um and that's a I think that's a good example of like I don't think the tracks is going to close because of this, but it's just kind of in poor taste, I think. Let me know what you think.
The enhancement of that area. And beginning in this year, summer, we will be reconstructing that area with a new plaza, pavilion area, outdoor fireplace, and seating wall. So another area that residents will be able to congregate in the downtown for enjoyment of the downtown environment. And this slide just provides a different perspective of the proposed improvements. Again, trying to enhance the physical presence of downtown and continue the streetscape work that was completed this last year to provide another gathering space that'll bleed into future projects as well.
Then the third phase of the whole downtown enhancements includes al fresco alley enhancements. We would anticipate in budget for design of the al fresco alley improvements in the upcoming fiscal year, with anticipated construction to be fiscal year 26 and 27. Total budgeted amount includes $87,500 for design engineering and approximately $770,000 for construction.
Can I ask a question? Those swing gates, is there anything that would stop a vehicle from driving down through there?
That would not, and I'm glad you mentioned that. So this was an initial concept rendering. We haven't done any sort of design, so once we do the design, we would anything you see here, like the container box that's there, obviously that's been considered elsewhere within the village. So once we start design, we'll get into more of those details, but something like those swing gates would not.
Okay, so when you guys are looking for budgeting this, is there, I don't know any of the design information for this, but is there something that you guys would make sure that there would be implemented so that a vehicle couldn't go drive down there?
We recently, in this current fiscal year, we purchased a vehicular intrusion barrier. I forget what their official name is, but we would be able to place something like that in front
That's
of
great. Okay.
Spring Street. Yes.
Thank you.
And also, just like the previous phase with the downtown plaza, the alfresco alley enhancements also include a grant that we have received. So as Director Noonan mentioned, we haven't gone through the design phase to determine exactly what the amenities will be. That'll come soon. But this price point that we're proposing here is based on the amount of the grant that we're expected to receive.
And I thought I'd just say a few things about this. This is they're saying that the money's coming from a grant, $80,000 to improve the al fresco alley. And we all seen the vehicles do their thing. The barriers that they were talking about are meant to be temporary. They're the ones that capture the vehicle, and they do better when they're chained together. That would not, I don't think that would be a good fix here, personally, and I think they know that. But how they have it set up now is with movable heavy planters and stuff. When you have, this is different. You have folks sitting, not paying attention to their surroundings. I think you have a higher responsibility when you have folks sitting instead of like a gathering. It should be the same on both, high responsibility, but especially so here. You see, like I'd like to see not only those, you have to assume that those barriers move and shift. I'd like to see that also, like if they do decide to do this, depending on how things turn out, to also have something that's architecturally appealing, and that could be just heavy ass planters or something that's engineered to be like, yeah, I'm not moving if you try to hit me. Also on the sidewalks, including the street, to where you can sit down and not have to be watching your six all the time. So that's one thing I'd like to see them do here, so that we don't run into any issues with that. But let me know what you think about the Alfresco Alley and these investments that they're making.
Summarize the downtown improvements. The items highlighted in pink are two items that we didn't have slides on. That's the electrical vehicle charging station, $60,000 in fiscal year 28 and 29. And then, like we just mentioned, proposing additional modular anti-vehicle intrusion barriers. That's their official name, $105,000 for those. And the purpose of that is so that we could close off both areas of a thoroughfare.
Does that 105 include the trailer?
Does not. We would, talking with Superintendent Kopath, that we would just move a set, and while our team was setting them up, we'd take the trailer back,
okay,
and grab the additional.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And then how many electric vehicle charging stations, is that for the 60,000? About?
That conceptual estimate was to include 2 stations, which would cover 4 parking spaces in the 6-hour lot. You might recall the Public Works Department in-house was able to place conduit prior to the resurfacing of the lot so that we could get electricity to that location without having to upset the recent pavement work there.
Okay.
And go ahead. Part of this too, we have an opportunity through Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus was put in charge of awarding grants for EV charging stations, but that's on hold right now. But this is a perfect example of something the village could apply for to offset that cost. This is exactly what we're trying to promote. So it's a wait and see right
now. Next, we have our anticipated roadway improvement and capital maintenance.
I'll end it there since it's coming up on 11 o'clock. That was the budget workshop for the village of Cary, for the forget the actual discussion on fiscal year 26, fiscal year 2030. That was the first hour. There's another hour left to it that we will view tomorrow, and that's where you'll see the public comments, and I'll have the phone line and text line open to where you are able to voice up. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I'm providing this resource to you because I want to hear your voice and I want them to hear your voice. So that's what I'm doing here at 11 o'clock in a warehouse, speaking with you. I appreciate you joining me for Voices Cary Live. My name is Randy Scott, and I love doing this for you, and I look forward to having the opportunity to do it in the future for you for time to come. And if you have any questions, you can always email me at voicescary@proton.me. And I broadcast live every weekday now from 9 p.m. at 9 p.m. So you can pencil it in if you have a comment or question, and you can always leave a voicemail at that number that's on the description, and we'll go over whatever you got. Thank you for joining me tonight for Voices Cary Live, and have a wonderful evening. Thanks for staying up late, and we will see you tomorrow at 9. Thanks.
You're confirmed at T-minus 10 seconds.
And counting. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1!
Reach for the sky.
Huh?
This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
What?
Somebody's poisoned the water hole.
It's busted.
Who are you calling busted, Buster? That's right. I'm talking to you, Sid Phillips. We don't like being blown up, Sid. Or smashed, or ripped apart.
We?
That's right. Your toys. From now on, you must take good care of your toys. Because if you don't, we'll find out, Sid. We toys can see everything.
So play nice.